or at UNT. This is what, like the 5th university or something. I'm tired. If you're watching this, that means we're like weeks, whatever, in the trip on the Texas tour. There's a lot left to see, but there's already that we've seen a lot, so turn me up. So my first question is, what pronouns do you use?
She, her.
Perfect.
They, them usually.
I use she, her pronouns.
I don't have pronouns.
Okay.
I just I guess him.
She, her. She, her.
Perfect.
He, him.
He, him.
What pronouns do I use?
Yes.
I use she, her.
Amazing.
She, her. She, her.
He, him.
He, him. He, I guess.
Would y'all consider yourselves to be more pro-choice or pro-life?
I'm kind of neutral on that.
Okay.
I don't really have a specific stance.
Gotcha.
I'm pro-choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask you why?
My mentality has always been the idea of like to each their own. I don't think pro-lifers are wrong, but I disagree with the idea that just because you don't believe in something, that means that everyone else can. It's like the idea of like, like when you're in school, right? Like somebody gets punished for class, like so that the whole class suffers. Like it's not supposed to work like that.
Yeah.
Pro-choice, definitely.
Okay. Talk to me about it. Why more pro-choice?
Because, it's the woman's body, and like, until a certain point, the infant, they're like self-conscious, they're really like alive at that point. And at that point, I think it should be okay for her to like prioritize herself and her choices, her life, before like giving birth to the child, because sometimes there's health complications, sometimes there's like personal issues that you can't have that baby. So I think it should be a choice for everyone.
I'm pro-choice.
Okay. Talk to me about it. Why?
I think that, I don't think I could control someone else's body or tell them what to do with it, so I'd rather let them decide. I don't think that I'm necessarily pro-abortion, but I don't think that, I think there are medical cases where, like, if a doctor recommends you need to do it, I think you should have the option to do it.
Absolutely.
And if financially you feel that you shouldn't have a child, then I think you should have the choice to not have a child.
Yeah.
I'm pro-life.
Okay. Can I ask you why?
Because I believe that every unborn child is a human being from the very point of conception. And the reason why is because there's a God who has created all of us with his infinitely valuable image. And so I believe that there is that worth placed in all of us. And so because of that, there's implications to that. We can't take away a human life because that's a life that's not ours to take.
Yeah.
And I understand that there's so much, it's not like a simple issue because there's so much baggage in many situations. But I think the worst thing that we could do in any situation is prolong violence by causing more violence to happen.
Gotcha. Would you consider yourself to be a feminist?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I guess I just want all women to have like equal opportunities and like the same playing field as men do.
In a way, I respect women, and I appreciate what they do for society, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I guess in a way.
Okay. What about you?
Yes. Women should build each other up. That's kind of it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it's basically right now the main thing about feminists is like that they're all going after the whole, like they want equality and all that, but then there's also the other factor of some people don't want equality, so it's like that's why I'm kind of in between it of I am but I'm not, because like everybody has their own opinion of how they want to be.
Not really, I guess. I think.
Okay, talk to me about it.
I think everything's pretty good right now.
Okay. Do you feel like there's any like inequalities amongst gender?
I guess in like some more specific, I wouldn't say broadly.
Okay.
I think like probably in like specific areas like there probably are, but I think generally probably.
Okay.
I feel like, it just depends on, because I have seen these like, TikToks like, women should get paid the same as men in the sports. And I feel like it just depends how good and how much, people they can get like to watch the sport or whatever. But it really just depends on their skill level, I feel like. I do love women, I have a girlfriend, so
sure.
I do think they should, deserve equal rights, yeah.
Okay. Do you think that the Bible should be taught in schools?
I do not.
Okay, why not?
Personally, I'm not Christian. I'm actually Jewish. And I just think that there should be a separation of church and state, including public schools.
No.
Okay, can you tell me why?
No. So the actual definition for indoctrination, as what it is as a concept, is the more you have something in your life over time, the more you come to believe it. So if something is going to be in your life day in and day out, whether it's, at school or at your job, and it's something that's not even forced but pressed upon you just to be around, that is something that you are slowly over time going to be indoctrinated into, whether you mean to or not.
We finally saw the ceasefire in Palestine yesterday. What is your reaction to that after 15 months?
I'm not sure why Biden was dragging his feet for so long. I'm under the opinion that Bibi Netanyahu is taking marching orders from Russia, as well as our new elected felon. Make no mistake, I fully support Israel and their beliefs, but I do not support the current government who is running the policies in Israel and Gaza right now.
I'm very, very happy. Like I just said, I'm Jewish. My mom is Israeli, and obviously a lot of innocent people on both sides have died, and it's very hard and close to my heart. I actually lived in Israel last year, and I'm very happy they've reached a deal.
I don't know how to feel about that whole situation in general, both with the way it started and with the way it's carried on, both with the way we've handled it, and with the just general apparatus of political behavior in the Middle East right now. I very much don't see it as a permanent ceasefire, more as the chance for more things to boil, because I don't think anything's aiming to calm down over there.
You mentioned you're pro-life, right?
Yeah.
Did you speak up or have you spoke up in opposition to the children that died in Palestine?
Have I spoken up against that?
Yeah.
I haven't necessarily, no.
Okay.
It's really tragic, everything that has happened over in that area. And I think that there's been tragedies on both sides of Palestine and on Israel. So, ultimately, it's just there's just so much violence. And I know this probably isn't the answer you're looking for, but when I see that, it just makes me really yearn for the return of Christ to save his children and to restore us and redeem us.
Sure.
So, take that for what it is. It's just what comes to mind when I think about that.
We have seen the increase of the use of the term DEI to describe black and brown people like Kamala Harris when she ran for president. Why do you think conservatives are using this term to describe black people?
Because they don't like that she's a black woman. She's black and then she's a woman.
Right.
Although she is a little ambiguous, she's still black.
Yeah.
I think if we can accept a black man being president, we can accept a black woman being president as well.
I think they just want to make it different. They want to make it about something that it's not about. Kind of divide sides. like that.
I feel like same thing back to culture and race. I feel like that's their excuse to give a category without trying to sound racist. Be okay, we're not being racist because we use this category. No, you're still technically being racist by using that one term for that one group of people.
So I think it's a popular way to target and segment the population, pit one group against another group, saying that this group is undeserving of certain things, whether it's health benefits, education, what have you, against another group of people who think that they're more deserving than that group. So I think it's just more than anything, a political ploy.
Black and white Americans use illicit drugs at similar rates, but 1 in 4 people that are arrested for drugs are black. Why do you think black people are arrested at such a higher rate?
I think it's kind of based on the area where a lot of black people live in. A lot of areas that are low poverty like that kind of have a lot more police around them, and where areas have a lot more police around them, it's kind of
right.
It kind of be that's a given that more people would get arrested.
Right.
So,
do you feel like it was an intentional thing to put not only black people in those areas, but to increase police presence in black areas?
Yeah, I think so. I think people kind of use it those places are dangerous that, so that there's.
Right. I think the penal system is set up to target people, and I think on the flip side, a lot of people put themselves in predicaments that make them a target. Right. So you put all those factors together, there you have it. Yes. There's your data.
That's a good question. I feel like, honestly, like history-wise, I feel like we just have more profiling, be like, oh, okay, like black people have more association with like drugs and alcohol and stuff like that because like the gangs and everything. Yeah. But honestly, I feel like nowadays, I feel like it's more down to like pressure because sometimes black Americans it's either like, hey, we can like achieve our goals, or some people are like, oh, okay, well like I already have the stereotype on me, so like why not? And so some people fall back to like the drugs, alcohol, and everything. So honestly, it's like a little bit of both. It's like us, but like also like outside pressure too. I feel like. Yeah.
Do you think that white privilege exists?
Yes, I do.
Talk to me about it.
I feel like, at least at the UNT, like this university, they're very good about diversity, but definitely like in other parts of Texas, it's very prominent, and I feel like usually they choose more white passing people to be put in like positions of power, or they like care more about their opinions. So yeah, it definitely does exist.
That's a tough one because I feel like things have changed a lot in a way, but at the same time, there's certain things that white people probably do have an edge with, but I feel like for all races there's aspects of it. So I mean, it's tough to say, but there might be an element of it. Yeah.
Yes.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yes, kinda. Talk to me about y'all's stats on it.
It's just a regular patriarchal system. Like everybody, it's kind of just always been that way.
It's kind of like normalized at this point.
Yeah.
It's not as extreme as it was.
For sure.
In a way.
Okay.
Yeah, in some spaces too. I'd say probably like the same thing, like not everywhere, but in some places, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in some cases I think it does.
Okay, talk to me about it.
I've never really, had that problem because, I mean, I'm Mexican, right? But I do look white, so it doesn't really affect me too much. But there has been instances like with my friends, and, I hang out with my culture, and sometimes they're a little offensive and stuff, so I think it does exist.
One of Donald Trump's most recent policy positions is mass deportation, right? How do you feel about mass deportation?
It's a big question for sure.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot to talk about around it.
Do you feel like you support mass deportation?
Not necessarily, no. I understand a lot of the purpose behind it, but it's kind of a hard.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll support it.
Yeah.
Even like I'm finding it difficult to find a job right now.
Yeah.
So I feel like if he does do that, it opens up a lot of avenues for like job opportunities and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm for that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, not really. I'm an immigrant too, so yeah, I can't support that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really into politics, so I don't know much about it, but yeah, mass deportation is not something I would support.
I do not. I think America is built on immigrants, people coming in, and we need like the more people that come to America that can build it up, like that's what's made our country. So I think it's just insane. And yeah, I mean, it's really hurting people to displace them completely after they've uprooted their lives and wherever they've come from to come here. And we should be supporting them rather than trying to get them to leave.
I believe that if you want to come to this country, you should do it legally.
Yeah.
I do not believe we should, for lack of a better term, just I'm not too educated on something, support people that come here illegally. Now, of course, there's the case with refugees and their stuff, but that's more legal. It would depend on how aggressive he is with his policies. So I'm just gonna wait and see what happens.
Gotcha. What about you?
I wish him, I don't think he can do it. I would say, if he can say it, but, I look at it in the sense of, there's a whole conversation of dreamers. My family comes from immigrants. And I think if you ask most people, about illegal immigration, they're going to tell you, yeah, it's wrong. But the question comes from, okay, well, now, you have people living 20, 30 years, right? Yeah. Have kids born here who are legal citizens. And I know he's talked about, getting rid of what I think is the first 12th Amendment that makes everyone born in the United States illegal. Yeah, and I'm like, that's a scary thing. You can't do that. What do you do? I've kind of said to my friends, I'm like, if you want to do something, I said, fine. You want to, help the border border out, make it a little more reasonable, that works. But I said after that, it's like, how can you do that? How are you going to find them if they don't exist? I said, if you really want to help those people, I said, first of all, like, look at the companies who are hiring them on radar and basically threatening them to deport them if they don't do the job for cheap. Punish those companies, have them make them realize that that's not worth it, and then you can make it better. I said, like, look, they're here, right? You want to prevent more people coming, that's a different story. Then we can have a conversation. But the people who are here, who have lived here for decades, like, you can't do anything. And I think, like, to then be like, oh, you can take the kids back with you. I'm like, that's like, what does that mean for, like, me, whose whole family's from, like, Eastern Europe? Does that mean, like, if they do something wrong and they get kicked out, does that mean I have to go? I was born here, I was raised here, I have no ties to that land anymore, so what does that do for me?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
What do you think the biggest form of theft in the United States is?
Wage theft, full stop.
Talk to me about it.
At this point in human history, wealth inequality is at its greatest that it has ever been. And that's a threat to everybody who's not a billionaire.
Yes.
It's going to destabilize your life with a quickness.
First word comes to mind is corporate.
Talk to me about it.
I think a lot of people up top have more than they need.
Yeah.
Car theft?
I guess, to me personally, the biggest piece of theft is just people being rude to each other. Everyone, I think, deserves a chance to be happy and such. And, when we spread nastiness all the time, and when we do that, it just hurts everyone and robs them of their happiness.
Yeah.
The medical system.
Yeah, talk to me about it.
I don't want to really go in depth, but
Sure.
it's like a lot of other countries have free healthcare, but it seems like we want our people to be unhealthy and stuff.
Right.
And especially within the Black community, a lot of doctors put aside our problems, thinking we don't feel pain, or Black women are tough enough to keep going with their pain when they are in need of dire help, especially during labor and birth. And sometimes a lot of Black children get hurt by doctors, and it goes under the radar. Or even those in labor, their babies get hurt. There was a recent case about that. But yeah, that's what I gotta say.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, UNT is fucking cooking, bro. I asked, what is the largest form of theft in the United States? And everybody immediately knew exactly what I was talking about. They said corporations, they said medical care, they said billionaires. Hey, they're cooking here. Y'all need to really watch out, because this UNT video, they're finna shit on the rest of these universities in Texas. I gotta say, I can't lie. Best answers by far. So currently, billionaires can donate as much as they want to any campaign. Do you think that billionaires should be able to do that?
There shouldn't be billionaires.
Come on.
We all know that billionaires are not actually great people. In order to be a billionaire, you need to cheat people out of stuff, and also harm a lot of people and hoard money, and also cheat the system. Elon Musk did not earn the money he has today. His parents profit off apartheid in South Africa, and he's spreading that racism in this environment today. So I do not believe that billionaires should exist, and they should not be donating to campaigns. They should be giving their money to taxes in general.
If you want a corrupt government, absolutely. If you want the will of the people exercised, the will of the people needs to be the priority, not dollars. Our government is not a business. It's supposed to take care of the people. It's supposed to reflect the will of the people. All of the people, not the oligarch class.
Right.
I don't. I think that there should be a regulation about campaign donations.
No. If we want to have a good country, we have to have someone who can lead it and is qualified to lead it, not just people who can pay their way to the top.
Come on.
Hell no.
Talk to me about it.
They're influencing the election process. They're making their interests more important than the voters.
Exactly. Yeah. In this last presidential election, if you did vote, who'd you vote for?
I voted for Kamala.
Yeah. And what would be the number one reason that you did vote for her?
I mean, that was the best candidate. Whether you agree with everything she does or supports, at the end of the day, we had two main choices, and that was the best. That was the best candidate.
Kamala Harris.
Can I ask you, what was your number one reason for voting?
Because I think Donald Trump's a pig, a racist, inward thinking, felon, racist. I could go on and on.
Yes, okay. I like it.
Voted for Harris.
Okay. Can you tell me maybe your number one reason for voting for her?
I heard about Project 2025. It sounded pretty scary.
I voted for Kamala Harris.
Okay. And what was the number one reason for doing so?
Mostly economic. Her plan to reduce inflation and to put money back into the working class of Americans really drew me in. Not to mention, I just don't really like Trump very much, to be honest. I don't agree with him on very much.
I didn't vote, yeah. I'm not really concerned with all that kind of stuff. I just you got to do your own thing. Just worry about what you can control. But
Cool. All right.
I would vote for Kamala.
Okay. What would be like? Can you just tell me like why? Like maybe what's your number one reason?
I think she kind of cares more about kind of every American as a whole, as opposed to just those who are wealthy, just those who fit in certain tax brackets. Right. So yeah, I think she works better for me and where I'm at in my life right now. So
I voted for Trump.
Okay. Can I ask you why? Like, what was the number one reason, maybe?
A lot of it was because I agree with his stance on abortion, and I hold very conservative values for the most part. But there are some other issues that I lean not like fully with him on, but abortion for sure is like the top. Like I cannot negotiate on that one. So that's a big reason why I voted for him.
Okay. So I didn't vote, but if I did, I probably would have done Trump just for economical reasons. I feel like the prices were lower back then, and certain factors I think I disagreed with a little more. But I didn't vote because neither candidate was. Yeah, like neither of them were really just sticking out to me as that's the one I want. So I was just like, I'm gonna stay out of it.
I voted for Kamala because nah.
Trump. Can I ask you why?
I really resonated with some of his policies and what he wants to do with the country. I believe Biden, I ain't gonna lie, I mean, he has his own way of doing things, but I don't think it's those things he's trying to do is good for for America. I believe Donald Trump will be able to put America where it needs to be.
I would vote for Kamala.
Yeah. And what was maybe the number one reason that you did?
I don't like what Trump's trying to do. And once again, you see what Trump's trying to do, and we voted for him. Look what we have now. We have Elon trying to do all this stuff now.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah,
I voted for Kamala Harris.
Okay. What was your main reason for voting for her?
I just don't like Donald Trump's policies on immigrants and deportation and stuff.
Kamala
Harris. Okay.
Yep. Her name.
Okay. And then what was the number one reason that y'all voted for Kamala Harris?
Only because I'm not, because Trump is for the upper class. That's mainly it.
Yeah, and he's also kind of mainly going for the people who are more about the white supremacy.
Right. Yeah.
He doesn't really care about the others as much.
I voted for Kamala Harris.
What was maybe the number one reason you voted for?
I think the biggest reason is just that I didn't want to have Trump elected after seeing the Project 2025 thing.
Right.
I think the biggest thing is just arms against Donald Trump. Other than that, I mean, I agree with most of her policies just because she's on the party line. Yeah. But yeah.
True.
Kamala.
Okay, can I ask you why?
I just really believe and stand with all of her policies, and I think she was definitely qualified to be president, and it's really sad that she didn't win, but hopefully the next election we can fight for a change.
I would have voted for Kamala, even though I see both parties as very flawed and supporting things that I may not agree on in certain things. I feel like the Republican Party and Trump is not really great, and you can't even call them Republicans anymore because they're having people who are not qualified to be in the government while they're screaming DEI, this and that about Kamala and people of color. They're actually the DEI in the government now, and we'll see that in the coming years as things get screwed up, and even a lot of supporters who don't realize it, they're going to get screwed up too, and we're going to all have to come together and help one another either way.
What about you? Are we talking 2020 or the most recent one?
2 months ago.
Oh, I voted for Kamala.
Oh, 2 months ago. Okay,
Yeah,
I thought you meant the one. I voted for Kamala.
What would be both of y'all's number one reason for that?
I just don't want a convicted felon in office.
Fair. Fair.
For me, the three biggest reasons for voting was I was concerned with the Ukraine-Russian war. My whole family's from Ukraine, and I'm a believer in, like, as somebody who understands the mentality of how they act and all that, I know if any negotiation is made and Russia gets anything they want, in 2 years they'll come back for the rest. Just like they did in Crimea, Chechnya in the 90s. That's what they did, came back. My second thing was economics, and I look at Trump's, and I think both plans are terrible. Like, I didn't care for any of them, but I also thought to myself, like, at least, like, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris's plan, I saw the potential, because, like, okay, they stopped the inflation from rising. The question is, could they get it down? Trump's whole plan with putting, like, what is it? Like, it was tariffs.
Yeah,
it doesn't work because
import tariffs.
Yeah,
right?
import tariffs. And I'm like, and I was like, okay, like, he's banking on the fact that we can, like, China will bleed out before we do. And I think that's a risk, because you're playing with people who are already struggling to make ends meet, where groceries are already high, where gas is already expensive, so he's playing that. And the third thing is like, I'm concerned with the rise of anti-Semitism. You know, like, I'm Jewish, proudly so, and I look at it in a sense of, like, who would have done the best to kind of quell it? Because I know right now, like, you know, it's going to get better and all that, but it's still a situation of, like, it's very concerning. So that was my 3 reasons for voting. I gave Trump 1 for the anti-Semitism, and I gave Kamala 2. So I was just like, okay, 2-1, she won.
Do you think that we should increase the minimum wage?
Absolutely. That's how you escape poverty. And in the words of Dr. King, he started out with a war on poverty, and then he had to shift gears because he realized that the racial inequality was such that he had to then go tackle that. But I mean, through solidarity, that's how you realize that all of our struggle is a shared struggle. The division won't work. We need to come together as human people. Nobody's going to get through a winter on their own. It is not possible for a single human to get through a winter by themselves. We have to come together as people. Our mutual survival is contingent on that.
Since 1948, we have sent $380 billion to Israel, right? Do you know how much it costs to eliminate homelessness in the United States?
I don't have an exact figure on that, but I do know that the city of New York spends approximately $100,000 incarcerating an individual per year, while they spend about $30,000 educating a people per year. Now, if you want to destabilize society, the fastest way to do that is to gut education. Because you have a dumb working class, they're not going to be able to think for themselves. They're not going to be able to articulate what the problems are. So you incarcerate them, you spend more money on prisons, you're going to have a prison population. You educate your people, you're going to have people who are smart, who are able to take care of you and me when we get old.
You mentioned you're an anarchist, right? What are some reasons that you are an anarchist?
Our current government has an emphasis on executive leadership. And in my opinion, leadership is providing structure and guidance. Now, if you think that intimidating people or belittling people or stepping on people is leadership, that's wrong. That's not the way to lead. You won't find that in the corporate world. You won't find that in your personal life. The best way to lead is through structure and guidance, providing that for my kids. That's how I lead my family. I'm not there to be a Nazi or beat them down. That's not how you raise kids. That's not how you lead people. You lead by example. You lead by caring about people, asking them how they're doing, what they need. Through dialogue. I know we have 3 branches of government, and there's supposed to be a balance of checks and powers, but I think term limits on Supreme Court would be an excellent idea, just to make sure that power doesn't crystallize and get locked in and then interfere with the other 2 branches. Now, do we need an executive branch? Could we just have legislation and judicial? Like, without this leadership thing, I mean, the idea is every 4 years we're supposed to eject somebody else and have a fresh voice. But because there's so much money in politics, you find a small group of people just kind of consolidate power, and they won't share it. Those who are put in positions of power rarely let go of it.
Yes, exactly.
One more thing I'd like to point out is the revolution will not be televised. Your life is not contingent on what you see on screens. You got to talk to people in your community, and don't forget the physical world, because what you're seeing on screens is a microcosm of the full world that we live in.
Absolutely.
The revolution will not be televised, to quote Gil Scott-Heron.
Absolutely. Appreciate
Grocery
you.
prices are out of control, and Whitey's on the moon. We're trying to get to Mars now for no particular reason.
Yes. Yeah.
But I can't afford to get to work.
Right.
I work at a job where they charge me money just to park and show up for work.
Right.
And Whitey's going to Mars.
Right, exactly.
And a damn thing changed. You know what I mean? That's the
Absolutely.
thing with revolutions is you got to do it every 5-10 years.
Yep, right.
You got to do it again.
Right.
You can't just stagnate and say, "Hey, we fixed everything."
Yep.
That's the misnomer that we were sold when I was a kid. I was told Dr. King solved slavery, everybody got equal rights, we're all good. And then I woke up one day and the LA riots were going on in my neighborhood.
Right.
Now we got this thing memory hole by entire generations where I talk to people 20 years ago and they're like, LA riots, what was that? That never happened. That's just a thing on GTA. I was like, no, that was real people fighting against police brutality, wealth inequality, and corruption.
Yes.
And we got to keep at it.
Yep.
It's maintaining our country. It's maintaining our society. It's maintaining ourselves.
Yeah. It has been great talking to you, really, truly. I've appreciated it.
Anger is not the way.
Yeah, talk about it. That's the same thing with John Lewis, that good rage, focusing it towards it. Yeah.
Start that good trouble.
Absolutely.